and ready for my arrival, worm. Ready. You were given orders, you were given time, you were given more leeway than most, and yet I still find this planet unprepared for the arrival of the Viltrum Empire.
This isn't a good time.
The Empire anticipated your resistance, and that is why they sent me here. I am Conquest, and I am your last chance to fulfill your destiny.
You don't understand. The only thing I want to do right now is hit something.
Good. Invincible watchers online have been saying that this show's animation is bad, that it's in decay, that it's fallen off, or even that it's worse than contemporary titles. But let's be honest, American media has never shined due to its animation. I believe we can all agree that Invincible, just like Rick and Morty, just like The Amazing World of Gumball, they all share one thing in common, and that is that they're American cartoons. Yes, cartoons. They may or may not be made for the same audience, but they still are cartoons. Now let's look at Western media. Is every anime a cartoon? Yes, they are. DBZ, JJK, they're made to entertain using hand-drawn animations and telling a shonen story about power and fights. Ms. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is also a cartoon, and it's no different. However, Western media and animation from the East is not the same at all. And in literally every case, Western animation is much more beautiful, detailed, and fascinating to look at. This doesn't mean that it's more or less entertaining. I'm sure there are people out there who find Big Mouth a better form of entertainment media than Mob Psycho is. And I get it. People can watch any cartoon they want in their free time, and there is nothing wrong about it. But I'm also sure that comparing the two based purely on animation is unfair. The budget that was used to create its show is not even similar, and surprisingly, Eastern media, or specifically for this video, we'll call it American media, has a way bigger budget than shows such as Freeran or even JJK. And people might start asking why this is the case. Well, you see, I think the issue is not only that shows like Big Mouth or even Invincible have actors and actresses that are not even qualified as voice actors, but just actors whose names are renowned here in the East, such as J.K. Simmons and Stephen Yeun. For as Western media, it's not that they don't have good actors. In fact, the opposite. They have renowned voice actors, which have participated in a bunch of other shows and therefore have more experience as voice actors, and their name doesn't carry that much weight, but their voice does. However, the price for those voices, as you can imagine, is lower than the price of the others' presence, for just being part of the show and having their names appear in the credits, and I think this is part of the charm of shows like Invincible too. Invincible's actors are more often than not professionals that have appeared as IRL actors, and that is to say that they have people such as Aaron Paul, Jonathan Banks, and Sandra Oh. Yes, the animation in Invincible may not be on par with the likes of One Piece, let alone of any of Mappa's current projects, but that was never the charm, and it has never been, of any American cartoon, ever. Shows that we used to watch as kids, like Adventure Time and Courage the Cowardly Dog, are in reality very ugly to look at, with a lot of colors, sure, but the design of the characters is by definition hideous. That is not to say that these shows are bad. It's what they have to tell that's promising. The point of Adventure Time was never to look good or to have good music, but to air for a long time, have a lot of episodes, and manage to appear on the TV on Cartoon Network for as many times as needed. They never needed quality, they needed quantity. Now in the West, the situation is much less forgiving. With the amount of shows coming out today and anime becoming famous worldwide, the industry had to evolve and come up with something that people who didn't speak a lick of Japanese could consume, just like the cartoons in the East. Their approach was much different than what folks did around here. Instead of delivering on shows that were entertaining to listen, they had to deliver on shows that were entertaining to look at. And I don't know if this is due to language barriers, but animes more often than not make no sense whatsoever. You'd be watching Attack on Titan 1 minute and the next you would have a Titan who would explode, or another guy who is basically immortal. This doesn't mean that Attack on Titan is bad, not by a long shot. In fact, it's one of my favorite animes of all time, and it's timeless. Not only thanks to the animation, but to the world building, the grotesque and scary design of the Titans, but also the harsh reality that the Eldian people had to live in. Sometimes the point of the show is not to look pretty, but to be interesting, to be captivating, to make you feel something. And I think Invincible excels in this. Robert Kirkman, the creator, is a mastermind. Not only does he have Invincible under his belt, but The Walking Dead too, and they're among the most popular shows American media in this part of the world have ever seen. And Invincible, being one of his first works that made it big, I believe says something about why it's so popular, because he was trying so hard to complete his goal, to achieve his endeavor, to be published by his favorite comic book publisher. And he didn't achieve this necessarily by making it look good. In fact, he hired someone else to do that. But by telling a compelling story, even without actors, without music, it still made a huge impact, not only in his career, but in the entertainment industry, especially with his later work and now both TV shows. Invincible doesn't really have to compete with the animation from the West. They can keep their beautiful looking shows. American TV shows were never about that. They were about airing, about being good entertainment, to kill time. And I'm tired of people complaining. I'm tired of people saying that Invincible animation needs to be better. Dog, it was never about that. Invincible never tried to have a good animation. Look at Teen Titans Go and Teen Titans. You would say they devolved into a much less appealing art direction and into the simpler, keep it airing no matter what basis. But the creators understood it. They understood it from the start, and that is why they deviated from the original, which was much more closer to an anime than Invincible ever will be. And that's okay. I think we can all agree that Invincible has great storytelling, and for what it's worth, even most of them aren't even voice actors. And okay animation, definitely much more appealing than the likes of other American cartoons. And I wish it is kept this way. Thanks for watching.